Hey, it's Clay, CPAP My Way, CPAPmyway.com. Today we are here to discuss the Luna G3 BPAP. As always, if you enjoyed the video, if you found it helpful, please hit us with a thumbs up. It really helps us out a lot. If you have any questions about anything that I've gone over in here, I do my very best personally to respond to those comments. So feel free to shoot me a question in the comments or something you might like explained in a little more detail. We'll be doing some more videos on this as well. Additionally, there's links in the description that will take you to the blog with the details of this unit, as well as the listing and the accessories that we'll discuss in here along the way. So let's get to it. We're typically kind of cautious about bringing on BiLevels because typically that's a person with either really severe sleep apnea or maybe a different issue like COPD, something like that. So it's pretty serious. We want to make sure it's a good quality product that works well. So we've really liked this one so far, and we're looking forward to more feedback as you guys use it, of course. So let's start off by opening it up. It comes in a really nice travel case, pretty slim and compact. It does have the little whatever you would call that, slip-on for your carry-on suitcase if you're taking it somewhere. Inside, you'll obviously have the BPAP here, humidifier chamber. While I'm on there, you'll notice that while I've got it open, I want you to notice here it says, empty your water chamber. It's a nice reminder, but don't try to travel with your water chamber full of water. You will probably fry your machine. So it's a good habit to empty it every day, but make sure you're not packing it away with water. And I can't tell you how many people have walked in this office with dripping travel bags, and then you look at them like, oh man, here we go. Additionally, in the bag, you're gonna get your wall plug, your converter brick, your tubing, which more than likely will be a heated tube. You'll know that because there'll be a little cord on the tube. If it's not a heated tube, it's probably standard, and that's fine. It will work on here, but it does typically come stock with the heated tube, which is a nice feature we'll go over later. Obviously, you're going to have your user manual, as well as some setup instructions that should come with the device as well here. Additionally, you're going to have an extra filter, which we'll show you where that goes in a little bit, and a power cord lock, which locks the power cord in place on the machine itself. We'll show you those as well in just a minute. But let's start off by just setting it up. So obviously you got to hook up your brick to your plug. And on the back of the machine up here at the top is where you'll see the port for the plug. And that's where your little plug lock will come into play. So I'm not 100% sure that this is like super necessary, but they include it for a reason, so keep that in mind. But if you get in here close, you'll notice like this has little grooves, right, where it slips over top of here. So I found that it's easiest just to kind of snap the cord into place right there, right? You have to kind of like slip it in and then twist it to lock it in place to the left. And that keeps the cord from ever coming loose, which is, a good feature, especially if you, move cords around a lot behind your nightstand, which that happens in my house quite a bit with all the things we have plugged in. Then of course, you're gonna plug it into the wall. So on first look at the machine, the overall specifications is the machine is about 10.5 inches long, 5.5 inches wide, and about 4.5 inches tall. It weighs about 3.75 pounds, and it does have this standard 22 millimeter connection on the back. So if you've got other tubing, you can certainly use that. You can even use slim tubing on here with this particular machine by changing the settings. The water tank over here is 360 milliliters, or about just over 12 ounces of water. That's pretty standard. On the back of your machine, you've got your filter housing right here. And then obviously your water tank on the side and your navigation menu here, or navigation knob here. All right, so now that we've got the device set up, let's go over the basic operation. The nice thing about it is pretty darn simple. If you receive the heated hose, you will want to make sure that you connect that onto the back here. It slides on like a regular tube would onto that 22 millimeter connection, right? But then additionally, you've got this little plug, which goes right into the back there. You see it only goes in one way, so if it doesn't go in easy, don't force it, right? So it slides on just like that, powering. And then you'll obviously connect your mask to the other end of the tube. Over here on the right side is where your heated humidifier is, and this will need to be filled with distilled water nightly. So to do that, a nice feature about this is that you can just open the lid, fill it without removing it, which is something that's a little bit different than some of the other models that are coming out. Close it up, and it's ready to rock and roll. Once you got your water in the tank, the next step is obviously to get started on therapy. So you'll put your mask on the way you normally would. And then on this device, it is literally as simple as just turning hitting the button on top to turn the device on. When you first turn it on, hopefully there's not too much glare on there, you'll notice that it's telling you your pressure, your liter per minute, your leak, and your ramp time remaining. It's got a countdown, which is kind of cool. I don't know if that would make me feel anxious or if it would be helpful to know how much time I got before it's going to go up into therapy pressure. You'll see the heated tubing is currently turned off. I'll show you in a minute where you can adjust that, what your ramp time is set at, and then obviously there's the settings menu over here. But if you come in close here, listen to it, the machine's running right now. So it's really a pretty quiet device. All right. Then of course in the morning, press that button to turn it off, but you'll notice it's still running. So remember to press and hold the button here until it turns off. Takes a few seconds for it to do that. When you first turn it off, you'll note that it goes to a little QR code here where you can actually use the app to update your data. So that's kind of a nice feature that it automatically pops there. I'm going to show you how to get back to that QR code as well as your iCode for future reference if you're going to be using the app or calling in your information to your provider. All right, so let's take a closer look at the patient level menu here. Starting from left to right, we're just going to run through here. This preheat is to preheat the water chamber over on the right side. So if you live in a cold climate or something, you can engage that preheat and it'll start a little countdown there at 30 minutes of preheating. I'm going to cancel that by pressing it again. If you scroll a click to the right, you've got your accessories. If you click on that, it'll tell you how many days you are on your air filter, your tubing, and your mask. So it just gives you a breakdown of how long it's been going. You can reset any of them by scrolling to the reset button and pressing. In any of the menus as you're running through here, by pressing the home button, you go back. So you can always press the home button until you end up back here if you're lost where you are. Scroll one click to the right, you've got your mask, right? So you can choose your mask type. And you can choose your mask type. If you click that, you've got the option of other, which is what I've got selected currently, or you can have the nasal pillows, nasal or full face. These are geared for the 3B masks. So if you have a 3B nasal pillow like the Rio, a nasal like the Viva or full face Viva, those are great selections to help the machine know what you're on. You can also do a mask fit here, where it will give you an idea of how well your mask is fitting, right? So we'll kick that on. At any point you can press the button again to stop the mask fit. Currently I've got a great seal. If we had a leak, it would tell me to adjust the mask until I got it adjusted and go back to good. You can press it again, the navigation knob, to disengage that. Press the home button to go back. The next selection is your report area here. So you've got your usage summary, which will go over all the details. Press back to go back. We've got the iCode QR, which I talked a little bit about. The one you usually want to scan is the QR Plus. So if you scroll to the right, you go to QR Plus, and this is where you can scan it on the app to get your data uploaded manually. Press back to go back again. And then over on the far, you get your far right, you've got your iCode, and you've got iCode 1, 7, 30, 90, 180, or 365. Most people are looking for a 30 or a 90. You can scroll across the top to check those out. This is the string of codes that will represent your compliance metrics. It's just the basic information you might need for a DOT follow-up visit, for a medical card, or for your insurance metrics. You can call this into your provider. If they offer this service, they can punch it in and pull up those reports. All right, I'm going to back all the way back out. And then the last is your general settings. So this is where you've got some things you might adjust, especially these top 3 things might be something you adjust from time to time. Currently, you'll notice that I've got it as auto across the board. that's kind of nice in this machine, that it will allow you to automatically adjust, or you can allow it to automatically adjust everything to the most suitable conditions. And it does that by monitoring your temperature of your room and the current humidity levels in your room. But you can also, engage it yourself. So if you click on the humidifier here, we can turn that as low as off, or as high as a manual setting of 5. You notice once I put it into a manual setting, the heated tubing gives me a manual setting as well. That can also go from off to 5. As you adjust your humidifier up, usually it's a good idea to adjust the heated tubing temperature up a little bit to account for any excess condensation the higher humidity level may have. If you go back over here to the humidifier and change it to auto, it will automatically adjust your heated tubing to auto. All right. If I were to unplug the heated tubing and tell the machine that I've got a regular tube on here, you'll notice that it goes to a unconnected setting on heated tubing. All right. On the far right, you've got your ramp time, which I've currently got set to auto. It would monitor your breathing, and as you slowed into that rhythmic sleeping pattern, it would start to ramp up into your therapy mode. But you can get off of the auto setting and go anywhere from 0 to 60 minutes, as long as it's been as long as that setting's allowed in the clinical side of the menu. As I've got the heated tubing unplugged, you'll notice I get a tube type here. You can change that between standard, which is 22 millimeter, or 15, which is a slim style tube. If I plug that heated tubing back in, you'll notice that it automatically again switched over to the heated tubing selection, and that it switched my tubing selection to 22 millimeter heated, and at that point you can't change it. Okay. All right, so moving over to the right one more, you've got your delay turned off. That's basically these are all settings about display from here on out. So most of these are just things that are your preference, date formats, what the actual date is, your backlight settings, brightness, all that kind of stuff. So the main things you're probably going to work with are this top 3 for comfort. Obviously with humidifier, turn it up if you're dry. If you like condensation, turn your heated tubing up. And ramp is certainly one of those things you're going to customize for yourself. And again, anytime through here, just press the back button to go back to the menu. And just for reiteration here, you see your settings in this particular machine right along the bottom here. So this is currently in Auto S, which is Auto BiLevel, minimum BPAP of 7, minimum IPAP of 12, max IPAP of 15. So it's really cool to know exactly what the settings are on the unit. As far as maintenance on the Luna G3 BPAP BiLevel, you do have to keep up with the humidifier chamber. I talk a lot about that because we've seen so many nasty humidifier chambers come in here. Sometimes they're growing all sorts of stuff. I just can't imagine breathing that air in. But what's recommended is to take it out daily, right? So you press down, take it out, dump it. It's really best to just let it air dry throughout the day, so that it's sitting there nice and clean when you get home. Refill it with fresh, clean distilled water and put it back on there. You also need to wash it. We say at least once a week, soap and water. There are some crevices in here that might be a little bit difficult to get to. You might want like a little brush. That's something that I am not super fond of, when you can't get to all the little places in a humidifier chamber. They did tell me that it is dishwasher safe on the top rack, so if you just want to put it in your dishwasher and let it sterilize everything, that's a nice feature about it. But make sure you're doing that at least once a week as far as the detailed cleaning. I believe they recommend doing it daily, but in the real world, I think once a week is probably going to be asking enough of everybody. The other maintenance on here is the filter in the back. So pull these cords out of the way. Right here is where your filter's housed. If you push down that little tab, it opens it up. As I said, there's an extra filter typically included, but this is a reusable filter. Should be good for at least 6 months. Wash it out at least once a week. Warm water's fine. You really don't have to use soap on it, to be honest, if you just rinse it once a week. And then just clip it right back into place. So the only other maintenance you've got is the tube itself. The tube needs to be also washed with warm soapy water. Just be careful. They do recommend that you keep the connections out of the water. So this little cord here does not need to be submerged or washed, right? So you can wash the inside of the tube, but make sure to keep that out of the water. If you're looking for cleaning options, we'll throw a link in here as well for our top cleaners may make things a little easier on you. But that's really it. You got 3 things to maintain, right? You get the tube, you get the chamber, and you got the filter. So it's not a whole lot to do there. Some really cool features about this are number one, those settings on the home screen. I love that patients and customers can see their settings in detail right on the home screen without going into a clinical side of the menu. Another really cool feature is what I told you about earlier. You can fill the tank while it's connected to the unit itself. I know for a lot of you guys that's going to be a cool thing because I know you don't empty and refill your water chamber every day. Another really cool feature is that it has heated tubing, so that's not something that we've seen very often on from 3B. So on these new G3 models, that's an option, which is really cool. You know, obviously we've had some people say that it's a little wonky to have the cord on the tube, but I don't really see much of a difference. You know, a lock-in cord that's part of the tube or a separate cord, it all works the same, and it's not like it's going to swivel or do anything back there. So I think it's a perfectly usable or user-friendly option. The other really cool thing about this particular device is more in line with the manufacturer itself. So you can upload and see your own data, which is cool. So you could even go, I'll tell you what, I'll put a link somewhere here in the description or somewhere on the screen where you can see our download video. So it's the Luna download video where you can download your own compliance and therapy reports. So if you need them for like DOT purposes, or if you need them for insurance purposes, or you just want to see your data in detail, it's really cool that you can do that on your own with a quick report on the 3B website. A couple of things I don't like about this particular device is the humidifier tank is a little wonky on removing. So come in here close. To remove the device, you've got to press, or to remove the humidifier chamber, you got to press down real firmly and let it release. If it doesn't release, you got to press it again. See, I had to press it twice. And then it just comes right up. Obviously, you can take it off, empty it, fill it. And then to put it back on, you just line it back up, set it down, and then snap it into place. The snapping it into place really isn't too big of a deal, but getting it off can be a little tricky from time to time. If it doesn't come right off, press it again. You do have to press down pretty firmly, to be honest. So that's a little wonky. The other thing is that the SD card is behind the heated humidifier, which is the same on that DreamStation 2 that they just launched at Philips. But this is where your SD card is. So if you've got to take that in for a report, or you're going to be doing your own compliance, that's where you'd find it. All right. Not that big of a deal, but out of the whole unit, really, those are the only things I found that were, disagreeable to me. So overall, we really like the device. I think that it's going to be one of those that is going to be around for a while. 3B seems to be making a big push into developing new products and into making a really big inroad into the CPAP market. So far, we really like the unit. We haven't had any issues with it, and we look forward to getting feedback from you. As always, if you enjoyed the video, hit us with a thumbs up. We really appreciate that. Like, subscribe. Comment with any questions. We do our very best to try to get back to you if there's anything that we can do. Thanks again for watching.